So I'll, like, wasn't as good of a draftsman, megalosaurus. Hi guys, it is time for Q&A video. So I put out on both of my Instagram accounts the question thing and the stories. So I've collected some questions from you all that way, and now I will be answering them. So let's get down to it. Okay, the first question is, if you could have any animal, real or mythical, what would it be? And this is a kind of hard question, I think, because like I love seals, but I wouldn't want to have one like in a tank in my house. But if there was like a seal that I could swim around with in the ocean that loved me, that would be awesome. Also, the giant elk from The Hobbit that Thandriel rides is like really, really cool. And I think that they actually are not like mythical. I think that there is such a thing as a megalosaurus. I'll show a picture. So that would be like really cool too, because I mean, who doesn't want to ride a giant elk? I don't know, I do. So, okay, if you weren't an illustrator, what would you do? This is a really interesting question to me because honestly, I didn't like consider many options growing up. Not that I am an illustrator like by default. It's definitely what I wanted to do. I did consider like doing music and art. Those were like my main things I was choosing between. But now I think to myself, like, if I was going to do something other than illustration, I'm not qualified for this at all, but I would love to be like a marine biologist. As you can see, I love marine mammals. This is a leopard seal, which they're actually horrifying, but this is Frederick, and he sits on my desk and keeps me company. My husband got him for me. So yeah, I think it'd be really cool to be a marine biologist or maybe a botanist. I'm much more interested in nature and science than I was in high school, although I've always loved animals. So yeah, like, I don't know, I watched those shows on Animal Planet and stuff with my friend as a kid, and I just didn't even like think that was a thing I could do. I just thought it was something they did, but I didn't think it was a thing I could do. Anyway, I don't know, I guess I just did not know things. So, but I love being an illustrator. I'm really happy this is what I do. I also worked a few years as a florist, which was really, really cool and interesting. And as far as like choosing a field that I'm qualified for, that like if my illustration wasn't working out at all, I would probably be a florist. So yeah, that's a little tidbit about me. Let's see. Oh, do you mind if I use your work as tattoo inspiration? I'm always like really honored whenever someone wants to get my artwork permanently on their body. I do have a few people who have had my artwork tattooed. The only thing that I ask is like, I don't know, I'd like to know about it. And if you share your tattoo, I'd like if you would credit me for the artwork. And of course, like the tattoo artist, I don't want them like doing it on other people as if it's like their design. If you have something like when you say inspiration, like if there's something that I've done but you want it a little bit different, I would love to just design the tattoo for you. So yeah, you can contact me about that. Which drawing medium do you like most and why? This is interesting because I think I'm gonna have to say my iPad Procreate, because I don't know, like I honestly was kind of against digital stuff for a long time because I don't know, I felt like it didn't take as much discipline because you can change things so easily. It's kind of like one of those things when you're torturing yourself by like forcing yourself to do something the hard way. You think everyone else is lazy. Yeah. So, but I got my iPad back in December for Christmas, and it has just like revolutionized my work. I've been able to do my sketches that way, which is not only am I saving paper, but I'm also able to try it as many times as I want. I don't have eraser marks if I don't want them. It's been really, really awesome. And then the more that I draw people, I still kind of struggle with getting their facial expressions to look right on the first try. And if you're doing it with pen on like a watercolor painting, you do one line on their eyebrow that's wrong, and you've just ruined the whole thing, and 5 hours of work is down the drain basically. So if we're like talking about like drawing mediums, like drawing versus painting, I'm gonna say Procreate on the iPad, and my favorite pencil is the 6B pencil. Let's see, what watercolors do you use? I use, let me get them. If you're visual like me, you probably like want to see what it looks like, because even if I gave you the name, you look it up and be like, I don't know if this is the right one. So I use these Winsor and Newton, it's not working, it's not focusing, but Winsor and Newton ink. I have all different colors. Also have like non-bright colors, like I have brown. This one is like, it has something stuck to it, but and a really cool thing is that they have metallic ones. So this is the silver, and I have a gold, and the gold is like really sparkly. It needs to be stirred up, but it's really cool. So I use those, as well as Dr. P.H. Martin liquid watercolors, and I use Winsor & Newton brand watercolors in the tube that are like traditional watercolors. You squirt it out and it's like paint consistency, but then once it dries, it becomes like a little hardened palette that you can, like continually re-wet and reuse. So those are my watercolors. Let's see my other questions. Do you have a tip for people that are interested in drawing and how they should start? So I think that like the best way to start drawing is just to start drawing. Sketch from life a lot, or sketch from pictures a lot. And it's not always like super fun, but I think that you will gain like a lot of improvement that way. I took art classes in school and like my younger years whenever I could. And then in college, I went to a liberal art school, but I did major in art. So I took a lot of drawing classes where you're just like sitting drawing a still life, where you're sitting drawing a person like in a pose. And I remember my professor wanted us to do 10 sketches a week, or 10 pages in our sketchbook a week. And I remember thinking that was like such a pain and so ridiculous. Now that's like very easy for me to do. I could do that easily in a day. But you just have to make yourself do it. And sometimes you're not going to be happy like with what you're seeing on the page, and that might be discouraging, and you might lose your motivation for continuing. But you're just going to have to make yourself do it. And also YouTube is just a great tool. There's so many people out there that have put out tutorials for drawing, just like the same exact thing that you might be learning in a college class, but it's free on YouTube. So definitely do that. Another thing that I started doing after college, when I kind of wanted to push myself, was I started drawing with pen and not pencil, and it made it so that I could not erase anything. And it really pointed out to me my flaws with my drawing, the things I needed to work on. So that was like really kind of scary, because I realized, I don't know, I felt like I wasn't as good of a draftsman as I thought I was. but it was really, really helpful. So it showed me specific things I felt like I really needed to work on. Where do you get your inspiration, or how do you stay inspired? I get my inspiration a lot of the time from nature, from animals, going to new places, and also from reading books. Now, I will say I'm not great at sitting down and reading, but I've been listening to audiobooks while I paint and do your orders and things like that. And that's been kind of inspiring for me, just because it takes your mind, like if you're listening to novels, I think it takes your mind into an I don't know what I'm saying. Imaginatory? I don't think that's a word. I look really stupid. Okay. It takes your imagination to a new place and it kind of forces you to use your imagination more than, like, say, watching a movie or listening to a book that's not a novel, because if you listen to some kind of like self-help book or something, it's going to be more analytical. So that's been really inspiring for me. So yeah, I would say that, going outside, seeing animals, and just getting fresh air, all of those things are inspiring to me. And sometimes, like, if I see an animal I haven't seen before and I think it's really cool, I'll try to do some research about it, because sometimes learning about the animal can give me more inspiration for doing a character based off of it. How do you clear your head and relax when you are stressed? That is kind of a similar thing that I do. Is I will go on like a hike or something. It's always helpful for me to go outside without any kind of technology. And also going to the gym and getting on the bike and just kind of like going to town on the bike. So it kind of, I don't know, it puts me in like a state where I feel like I am focused on accomplishing something physical rather than mental maybe. And I do sometimes listen to my audiobooks while I'm on the bike, which I didn't think I'd be able to like do because it's so active and the other part is so like relaxing, but I don't know. I've been able to do it. So yes. And then there was another question, what are your daily rhythms that you have to help you be at your best? And I will say I do like going to the gym. I don't like it. Like when I wake up, I don't want to go, but I feel so much better after I have. And I think that my state of mind has been much better ever since I've started doing that consistently. And also, like recently I just started doing these environmental studies, so environment studies of, so I'll like, I'll choose a picture of some type of environment and I'll try to do like a quick painting of it digitally on Procreate. And this is something that is to help me learn more about lighting and just get better at doing backgrounds. But having that as like the first thing that I do in the morning as a creative warm-up has been really fun. I've only been doing it for a few days, but I'm sharing those over on Patreon. So yeah, those are available for like to be seen by my $1 and up patrons. And if you want to submit a picture for me to do, or do it yourself, like if you want to join me on the environment study, then you can post it there. So anyway, yeah, so having like a little thing that I enjoy, that I know I get to do each day, is very motivating to me and kind of like gives me a sense of peace to have like a plan, but a plan that's not like you have to do this, this, and this. It's like you get to do this today. Let's see. What was the first product you ever made for your store? Okay, so after college, I had been working as a florist for a while, and I started to feel like I was never gonna do my art again or something. Like I I didn't feel like I wasn't, but that was something that my professor had said, only 1 out of 5 of you is going to continue on to do art after school. And I'm like, oh, that can't be me. So I decided to make myself start doing more drawing, and I gave myself a project, which was to make a calendar. So I did an illustration for each month, and you'll see that I've done calendars more recently that are like a character in a photo environment, but these were like complete watercolor pieces and hand done dates and days and stuff. So that was my first project, and I sold a good amount of them. It was awesome. It was really exciting. It was the first thing in my Etsy store that wasn't like something I had already made during college, like some random art piece. It was something that I made for my store. Okay, I'm not going to say this right because I've never actually verbally said this word. What is your enneagram type, and how does your personality affect your work? So I had to take the test because I've taken Myers-Briggs before a few years ago, and I've like looked at this enneagram stuff, but I've never like actually like taken a test. So I found a free one, which only narrowed it down to 3 numbers for me. But then I looked at those, and I mean, there were definitely things I related to in all of them, but the one that I felt I related to the most was number 6. So yeah, I guess I'm a 6. And for Myers-Briggs people, I am an INFJ, and if I'm feeling especially cynical when I take the test, I'm an INTJ. So it kind of goes back and forth. Yeah, how does my personality affect my work? I think I am a very driven person. I really want to achieve things. And so I try to push myself a lot. I also am a big people pleaser. So part of like the Enneagram number, if I'm saying this wrong, I'm sorry, but part of the number 6 thing is that it's all about like loyalty to your loved ones and how a lot of the things that you do are because of that. And I definitely think that's true for me. And as far as like how that affects my work, I would say it's really hard for me to tell people no if I am busy. If I need to do something, it's really hard for me to like say, sorry, I gotta work, because I don't have like a regular job that I go to. So like, you know, if someone asks you to hang out and you've got to work, your 9 to 5 job, you can just say, oh, sorry, I work on Saturday. But like for me, it's kind of like your work always seems like it's a choice. So I have a really hard time with that. But I think I've gotten better about it. And now I live in California and there's no one who wants to hang out with me. So just me and my husband. He wants to hang out with me. So sometimes I have to make myself stop work to hang out with him. Let's see. The last question is, what's the most fun to you about your work? And I think the most fun thing to me is that I kind of get to be like a kid again a little bit, making up stories and stories that don't have to be serious, fun characters, animal characters. It's kind of like when I was little, I was a big Beanie Baby person, and not necessarily like the bright and colorful Beanie Babies, but the ones they started coming out with probably in like the late 90s, like the hamsters and the little mouse Cheezer, I think. I mean, we called him Cheezer. Me and my best friend had them both. We made them write letters to each other. It was really cute. Maybe his real name wasn't Cheezer, but I think it was. And I mean, I took them with me everywhere. I'm cutting in here because I just remember that I found some pictures. I don't have pictures of me with Cheezer or Pellet, but just so you can get the full image of little Sammy with Pellet the hamster in London. You can see this picture I found of myself recently. Actually, there's a few. When we went to London and Paris when I was like 7 years old. And you can see me in my full buck-toothed glory. But yeah, so this is just picture me with my hamster on a plane, okay, or a train. Also, I forgot a question, which was, why do you love to draw animals? And I think that a big part of it has to do with my childhood playing and making stories about animals and pretending to be an animal so much that this is kind of just a continuation of that. So yeah, I feel like what I'm doing now is like, I'm just, instead of having a Beanie Baby that I'm like hopping around with me everywhere I go, I'm just making stories about possum characters and stuff like that. So I think that's the most fun part about my job. And I'm really thankful that I have people on Patreon who are supporting me to be able to do that kind of work. That's not necessarily for my shop. I'm not doing it like to sell as a print and make money off of it. I'm just getting to do it because I want to and because it is beneficial to my portfolio. So yeah, I do love my job. I love being an illustrator. I'm very fortunate to be where I am with it. I've worked really, really hard and I still have a ways to go, but not many people can, you know, sit in their cute studio and paint all day. So I'm pretty lucky. Yeah, that is it for the questions, guys. Thank you so much for anyone who wrote in, gave me a question. You guys made me think a lot. Like some of these I like laid in bed thinking about. So thank you. And yes, have a great day. If you enjoyed this video and if you're interested in art related things, please like and subscribe. I would love that. And also if you want to support me and potentially get like behind the scenes stuff, not potentially, like you will, behind the scenes stuff, prints in the mail every month, discount to my shop, and a video each month that's exclusive to you, you can become my patron. Thanks guys for tuning in. I will see you next time.